Okay, so what it turned out to be is a book, and I wonder whether I can move this easily. So what do we have? Mediation, affordances, creativity. What are digital literacies? Well, obviously I'm not after digital literacies. What I really want is not children being able to draw, paint, or record themselves, because that's great and that's what we want. But what I actually want is technologies that enable students to actually reorganize or work with the information management systems they have in their heads and look at things differently, organize, reorganize. Can you see anything like that? So what do we have here? The world in pictures, online language and social interaction. Social interactions, yes. That we're doing, interacting is not talking, and I'm sure that they are talking about interacting as talking, so we're not gonna worry about it. Digital media and poly something, right? Focality, well, yeah, so having focus in different places, that's lovely. Technology and ideology, right? Okay, so nowhere can we find how actually we could use technology for doing the kinds of information management things that what's her name, Marianne Wolf, is actually encouraging us to do. So that's sad a bit, right? So that was one of our little trips. Deconstructing digital natives, young people technology. Oh, we've got another one, young people technology and no literacies. Well, it won't be the same situation, but if you want me to, I can check that. So there we go, it's another ebook. It's gonna be the same. Let's have a look. Why do I say that? Because very few people actually in the past have actually understood that notion of information management. And even though I come from second language teaching, even in my field, hardly anybody understood it this way. So people don't actually think this way. And even though the information comes now from neuroscience, in education, people still don't know what to do with it. I mean, let's face it, in education, most people that very often you can see do with technology is just games. It's games in a most basic way, and there is creative use of technology. I don't disagree. Wonderful stuff I have seen. But what I want to say is whether we allow people to explore the ways in which they manage information in order to look at things differently. So let's have a look now. Digital wisdom and Homo sapiens. Digital, that's lovely. Digital natives, yeah, we've heard that. It's all about power. Analyzing students' multimodal text, the product and the process. Well, I don't know what's there, but let's have a look further. Students navigating in literate worlds beyond Google. Actual and perceived online participation. Right. I can't actually, from what I know about academia, I can't see anywhere things like enabling students to actually work with their perception systems in different ways, in ways that they actually, in ways which are not familiar to them. Very basic term in education is defamiliarizing people, right? Because if you actually follow the loop, you can't expand. So one way of actually enabling learning is actually to use techniques that enable children or anyone to defamiliarize themselves, to step away. Well, how can they? So if a dyslexic person perceives things one way, so what do? Do we doom them to this particular way? Or do we actually think of different ways that may actually enable students to actually defamiliarize, move out from the loop, break the loop, and move to and start working with information in unpredictable ways, in different ways, but the ways that actually respond to children's organizing systems, but different organizing systems, and enable children to actually elicit or make use of their processing systems differently, right? Differently, just like you are when you're listening to my accent. You actually have to do a lot of translation. Anyway, so what do we have? This, right? So there is not much more when I type these simple terms. I'm sure that if I type things like maybe technology, let's have a look, and dyslexia, well, that dyslexia, mind you, this dyslexia is highly misunderstood. People think that someone has to have a condition of dyslexia, whereas I say people have different, or children are not just dyslexic or not dyslexic. There's an entire range of ways in which people process along the scale of dyslexia. So it could be mild dyslexia, very mild dyslexia, and whatever. So it's not just a clean cut. Now, everything about dyslexia, I just can't see technology yet. So what is assistive technology? So it is basically how we can actually help children to use technology. It's assistive technology typically doesn't mean actually how to assist children who have dyslexia, but how to read for them. What kind of things, what kinds of technologies are out there to do it for the children? Now, I could be wrong, right? But that's what assistive technology actually means. Developmental dyslexia, oh, that's lovely. Brain connectivity, you see here at least they talk about connections. And this guy Deleuze, I pointed to before, he talks about connections and flows. Flows are usually motivational, and connections is what the organism of the brain elicits or lights up, and then gets rid of something because at this very moment it's not important, and moves to another section of the brain and lights up new connections and so on. So at least we have here something about connectivity. Hardly ever will see that thing in education. Dyslexia and inclusion. Not much technology here. Electronic resources. Dyslexic children education, right? Electronic resources. So there is something here. Right, but you can see that even when we find something on technology, it's not necessarily that helpful, because it's not talking about how we can actually use technology in a creative way to support children in working with different connections. It's more in a way that we're already doing this in innovative classrooms, which is using different technologies to enable children to be more creative and therefore also engage in different types of literacies. Right, you might find something here and actually make some use out of this. You don't have to do it for this unit. I am just playing with you so that you can actually see what's out there in the literature, and one day you might come back and you might just find this very book. So I just posted for you to have a look. No need to use it today. I can't see anything about information management, right? So might be that I'm just pre-reading discussions. What's reading and information, reading comprehension, right? But well, what about reading as connections? And actually focusing on connections rather than straight away into making children mean the way we want them to mean, and so on. So these are very traditional categories. Connections, mathematics, music. Anyway, this is just to show you that we're really breaking the ground here in our unit, because in fact, even though I'm trying to actually explore the libraries through the online facilities of CDU, I can't find things that I actually do teach in this unit, which is how to actually empower children so that despite of the differences they bring with them into the classroom, they can use them and they can build on them, as opposed to teacher making them reproduce behaviors or produce behaviors that the teacher requires. Because if we do that, it's the same as the Americans or even the English people did to Piaget. Piaget was talking about children working with the constructions they have in their head at different stages, not stages, but just working with them differently at different ages. But it didn't mean that there were stages of development. It was just an activity where Piaget caught them. They might have been able to do other complicated things. It's just, he was just making a point that children process and see the world differently, and they continuously reorganize it. It wasn't meant to actually freeze the exercises that he was showing into particular fixed points. It's very hard for Anglo-Saxon culture of thinkers to understand the French people, because the French philosophy is a little bit different. Anyway, this was a little literature review and a little research we did for the day. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll just close this video and we will continue doing our own thing.